Hello. Welcome to my live. Happy Thursday. Today we're going to be talking about overwhelm. It is something we all face. It's something we all experience, including myself, including my clients, probably including you watching. And I'm going to show you how to actually overcome your overwhelm when it comes to your daily tasks and your to-do list. I want that to no longer be something that debilitates you or stops you from taking action. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. Hi, Isha, Amin, Devo, Sweetness207. I'm going to just call you by your usernames because I don't know you personally. I'm really excited about this live too because this is the first time I'm going live on YouTube and on Instagram. So if you see me looking over, it's because I'm also on YouTube for the first time going live. So this is fun for me. I'm playing a little game of what screen do I look at? But if you feel overwhelmed or you deal with overwhelm, go ahead and drop in the chat and let me know what overwhelms you the most. And I'll make sure to talk specifically to that. If you have any questions as I'm talking, go ahead, drop those as well. If you don't know me, hi, hello, I'm Sade Kelly. I'm a time management coach. I specialize in helping high achievers, right? I help high achievers manage their time better so that they can go after those big, audacious goals that they have and actually achieve them in less time without feeling burnt out, without sacrificing their self-care, without the stress, right? I want you to have more ease. Hi, Isaac. Sweetness207 said failing. You're failing at you get overwhelmed by thinking about failing. Is that what you mean? Because that's a big one. Ooh, you should be on my email list, girl, because I just put out a really great email list, a really great email about failure and like perfectionism and how you can become a progressionist instead. But that's another day, another topic. All right, he said yes. Okay, cool. So all of us feel overwhelmed, like I was mentioning. So that is something that we naturally are going to feel when it comes to our task, right? Like when we sit down and actually plan out our tasks. So for some of us, we get overwhelmed by seeing the long list of things that we have to do. Let me know if that's something you get overwhelmed from, because I know a lot of my clients, when they finally do sit down for the first time and they write out, what they need to get done for the day or what they need to get done for the week, that long list or thinking about all the things when it comes to as nitty gritty as like, I need to clean my house, but I also need to submit something to my boss, or I also need to work on my content plan for my business. Like thinking about all those different projects and how you're going to compartmentalize, how you're going to delegate, how you're going to get those things done can cause a lot of overwhelm for people. Another thing that causes overwhelm is not even having a plan or any list, right? And you know you're overwhelmed. Like I'm gonna tell you some symptoms for me, and then I'll talk about some general symptoms. But for me, I know I'm overwhelmed when it's almost like I start to freeze. Like I look at and I think about what I have to do, and I look at my list, and I freeze in the moment, and it's almost like I don't know how to make decisions because I start to feel a sense of like tightness in my chest, and overwhelm starts in your mind, right? It's you're thinking about all the things you have to do, but you feel it throughout your body. I know for me, like I start to feel like this, like things are closing in almost, and I want to just like freeze, and I don't know what to do. And then all of a sudden I'm raising my voice and I want to yell at things and I get angry. That's how I know I'm overwhelmed. And that's how I know, all right, I need to do some of the tactics that I teach and that I'm going to be showing you today to overcome that overwhelm. If you can relate to that, let me know. But another way you can know you're overwhelmed is suddenly just feeling like you have too much to manage and it just feels like above you, and you start to get into a place of kind of what Sweetness, I keep calling her Sweetness, but drop your name because I feel like it's kind of weird just keep calling you Sweetness. But what she was saying about like that sense of failure can be so debilitating. And I know when you start to feel overwhelmed, you tend to like go into this doubt phase too. So all of a sudden, as you're feeling the overwhelm, you're like, okay, I not only am I overwhelmed by this list, I have so many things to do. I probably can't do this. I'm not confident enough. It's not going to happen. Why did I even set this goal? Like you start spiraling and spiraling down, right? And then you start to procrastinate. And then if you procrastinate on something because you're overwhelmed, it makes it worse because now you doubt yourself. You feel bad about yourself. It's just a toxic cycle. And that's some of the main signs that you know that you're overwhelmed, that you're overcome with emotion. And as a result, it can translate into every part of your life. So you start to feel stressed, which then can cause you to get sick and have inflammation in your body. And like all these different health challenges can come from overwhelm. So this is why I do what I do. I want to help people let go of overwhelm, right? No more naps because you don't know what to do and you don't know how to set priorities. No more procrastination, no more analysis paralysis and not knowing how to make decisions because you're overwhelmed. We're going to cover all of that today. Hi to everyone joining. I see a question. I got a question. Isaac said, how do I get added to the email list? So my email list, you can get added to it through the link in my bio. After this live, you can go head there and you can become a Fire Insider and join my email list. But make sure you got your notebooks ready, right? I'm about to share tips. If you have questions, go ahead and ask them as I'm speaking to. And if anything's resonated with you, drop some hearts, drop some emojis, drop some comments, whatever. So I know you're with me and you're listening. So the first thing I want to talk about when it comes to being overwhelmed is like what I mentioned. It does all start in your mind. So when you feel a sense of overwhelm, the first thing I want you to do is really think about, why am I overwhelmed right now? And I know in the moment it's really, really hard to get there, but I need you to remember that you're always in control, right? That's the first thing I want you to remember. Next time you feel overwhelmed, I want you to remember that you are always in control, right? One thing I do, as soon as I feel overwhelmed, I start to see the symptoms that I mentioned to you earlier. I take a moment and I just take a deep breath. Like, I really get out of my head and I get into my body. So I literally, when the overwhelm comes about and I'm looking at my list and I'm just like I feel that tightness closing in, I pause and I take a deep breath. And I literally take a couple deep breaths and I concentrate on my breath. And this is breath work, if you know this, or a form of meditation where you literally just get into your body and remind yourself that you're safe, that you're good, that you're in control. And that helps you to calm down the nervous system. So this may be something you weren't expecting me to share when it comes to overwhelm, but this is a really great place to start, because many of us, the overwhelm, like I said, is starting in our mind. It's translating and we're feeling it all throughout our body. So the first thing we need to do to calm our brains down is regulate our nervous system. So take that deep breath, concentrate on your breath, and decide that you're going to take back your time. You're going to take back your energy. You're going to be intentional with your actions, and you're going to figure out how you need to move forward. Is that making sense? Let me know in the chat if you resonate with that, because I know for me, when I feel overwhelmed, doing those breath exercises, it's like the first sign of like, okay, let me snap back out of this. This is all in my head. I'm telling myself I'm stressed. I'm telling myself I'm overwhelmed. I'm telling myself I can't do it, but I know that I am confident. And let's go back into affirmations. Literally, this is it. I know that I am confident. I know that I've done hard things before. I know that I can handle this overwhelm. I know I have receipts, right? Because our brain loves receipts. So I always go back to telling myself like examples of things I've done that are hard. And I think through all the things that I've done, like I started a business, I quit my job, I finished college. Like I literally start listing out things sometimes to just remind myself of like, there's nothing I can't do. And if I want these goals to happen, I have to just move forward, right? So let me know once again if this is resonating, guys. So that's the first tip I want you to take away today. Remember that you're always in control. Remember that literally the world wants us to think that we're not in control, that we don't have control of our time. But if there's anything I preach more than, I think I preach this every day of my life, is you have complete control over your time. You have complete control over your energy. You have complete control over you choosing what you do or do not do. So that's the first tip. The next thing I want you to do after you've gotten over, you calm your nervous system down, your head is in a more clear place, is I want you to brain dump. So if you're not familiar with a brain dump, what a brain dump is you writing a list of every single thing you have going on in your head. So I want you to do two different types of brain dumps if you've never heard of this. The first one I want you to do is brain dump every single thing that you need to get done over the day, the week, whatever time frame it is that you're feeling overwhelmed. I want you to like sit down and actually brain dump every single thing that you need to get accomplished. And that's the more positive brain dump. That's all right, here's all the things I need to get accomplished. And it could be from any part of your life. It's like, all right, I need to make dinner. I also need to finish this project. I need to call my mother, whatever it is, get it all out on a sheet of paper. I personally like writing it, but you can type it however you want to do that. That's the first brain dump. The second brain dump, which works really well for people who have anxiety, and I have clients who do this all the time and they love it, is I want you to create a brain dump that's just all your worries. Like, let's create a worry list. Let's get it out of our head. And a lot of times when we get our worries and things we're stressed about out of our head and onto a piece of paper, it's transformative. And there's so many studies around this and why it is so beneficial for us. But once we've gotten it out of our head, we tend to like rationalize it. Like for me, anytime I'm stressed about something and then I journal on it, it's almost like by the time it starts off real negative, right? And I'm like, crap, like this is this, and that, blah, blah, I'm cursing and it's a crazy, my journal be wild. But then by the time I get to the end of the page, I start, all of a sudden I get more positive. I start to realize these things are not as big as I think they are. Like I'm going to overcome these things. I start to realize that my problems aren't as big as they were in my head. So the bottom line is get this stuff out of your head, right? So write all these things down, write your worries down, write down the things coming up, look at your calendar, take a moment to pause and think through like what really needs to get done, what doesn't need to get done. That's going to help you to alleviate that overwhelm, because a lot of your overwhelm is coming from, it's really coming from made up thoughts and you exaggerating what you need to get done. And I see this all the time. Let me know in the chat if this is you. Like we'll say, oh, I have like someone will be like, what's going on? Are you okay? And you'll be like, oh yeah, I'm stressed. I have all these things to do. I have this and that, da, 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 da. And then it's like, you have all these things to do. What do you actually need to do? You ever ask somebody that, or even ask yourself that? Because I ask my clients that all the time. They'll be stressed and they're like, I have all these things to do. I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. And they're like racing and talking so fast. Then I'm like, what do you actually need to do? Have you written it out? Have you like thought through it? Have you taken the time to pause and figure out when it can happen? Because the thing is, we got to stop expecting the things to happen for us when we haven't even planned them out, when we haven't even thought through when they're going to happen, right? It's the person who's like, yeah, I'm going to go on that trip. I can't wait. One day I'm going to be in Greece. But you've never even looked up the details to get there. You've never thought about what months you would go. You never thought about like when you make the time or how to save the money to do it or plan it, who you go with. Like you haven't even thought through anything, right? And I'm using a fun example, but this is everyday life where we expect things to just happen in our lives, but we're not being intentional about it. And like, if you're not intentional about your life, who's going to be intentional about your life, right? So that's the second thing I want you to do. After you've taken your deep breath, the next thing I want you to, I regulated your mind and calm yourself and concentrate on your breath. I want you to then get those things out. Get specific. Don't say I have a million things to do. Stop telling yourself lies, because your subconscious hears those lies that you're saying. Everything you say to yourself, your subconscious goes, bet. We're going to make that happen for you. And I hate that it's like that. I wish it wasn't. But the more I learn about the brain, the more I'm like, oh, more people need to know this knowledge, because our brain is trying to set us up if we don't know what we're doing. But if you tell yourself a million things, your brain's going to look for a million things. It's going to stress out. But if you tell yourself, you know what, I got 10 things I put on my list today, that's not realistic. I need to cut that down to 3, and I need to put the next 3 for the next day and the next 3 for the following day. And then boom, I can knock out 9 things over a 3-day period instead of me trying to be forceful on a Monday, right? Yes, absolutely me. Exactly. This is what happens. So the third thing I want you to do is I want you to make as many small decisions ahead of time as you can. So if you didn't know, this is a crazy stat I'm about to share with you guys. I want you to remember this. On average, Americans make 36,000. Look at me, 300. Yeah, right. We make 36,000 decisions in a day. That's on average how many decisions we're making in a day. And some of them, obviously, majority of them are really, really small, but all of them take energy and attention away from us, right? And decision fatigue can get really, really tough when we're making that many decisions, right? And it can get worse and it can exhaust us. And when we don't plan things ahead of time, this is when we're making a lot of real-time decisions that could be made ahead of time. So I want you to try your best to alleviate overwhelm by making really small decisions ahead of time. What that looks like in practice is, there are some things in your life you have to do every week. And I'm looking over here too, because I'm also live on YouTube. This is my first time going live on YouTube and Instagram. So if you see me looking here, it's because I'm trying to show my YouTube people some love as well as my Instagram people. But you really, when it comes down to making small decisions, right? I want you to think through of the things you have to do every single week. So if I'm thinking of the things I have to do every single week, some of the things I think about is cleaning, cooking, because I'm the main cook in this house. I think my husband hardly ever, he makes breakfast sometimes, but I do majority of the cooking. We both do cleaning. We do that usually together, but those are things that non-negotiable happen every week. Planning my content happens every week. Planning my client outlines happens every week. Talking to new prospective clients happens every single week. right? These are all things I know are going to happen. So you know what you do, you decide when they're going to happen ahead of time. You make that something reoccurring, right? I know every day what time I'm posting on Instagram. I made it easy. And then when I post on Instagram, I know when I post on TikTok, I know when I post on LinkedIn, I know when I'm posting on Facebook, whatever. Like I know ahead of time because I made a lot of these small decisions ahead of time. I think through like what my workout is going to be ahead of time. I think through what my meal is going to be ahead of time. And some of you are probably on here and you're like, this girl, she playing too much. I can't plan that much detail. That's a lot to do. It doesn't take me very long because I got into a habit of doing it. It's actually faster for me to be planning those things ahead of time and have it ready than spending like 45 minutes to an hour on the day of wasting time because I'm trying to think through decisions, but it's the end of the day and I'm exhausted. And then I end up at Chick-fil-A because I didn't think through what I wanted to have for dinner and I didn't meal prep on Sunday. Like, this is why making the small decisions ahead of time is really, really big. It's super transformational. And it can be as small as doing the things like, what am I going to wear? What am I going to eat? How do I want my day to go? What's my intention for today? What are my top 2, 3 priorities, right? Don't let these little decisions pile up because when you need the more brain power to create something new, or like a new project, a new program for your clients or whatever it is, or something new at your job, you have the mental capacity because you now you know how to adapt to this overwhelm because you plan on some things ahead of time. All right. Next tip I want to give to you guys kind of ties in with the one I just said. So this one is to make sure you narrow down your priorities. So I asked a couple of people, I asked a couple of my clients, like, when you do feel overwhelmed, why is it coming about? And they're like, oh, because I don't know what to do first. Here's the thing. I feel like when it comes to knowing what to do first, many of us are just like waiting for someone to tell us or waiting for something to shift to make us feel like we know what to do first. I need you to just decide. Sometimes we get decision fatigue because we're overthinking and we're just like being too critical, and we need to just decide and go with it. Like I remember there was this quote at my old job, and I don't remember exactly what the quote was. If you remember, write in the chat, but it was something along the lines of like, there is no right decision. You either just decide and then you make another decision. Like you just go with whatever you decide and you let the cookie crumble. That is definitely not the quote, but that is the message. Right? So think through the decision, but don't think too long. Just make a decision and then go with it. See what happens and then decide. I've noticed that as a business owner, you absolutely have to do that. I mean, it is just like, there is no key or coupon code to success, right? Like you try something out, you test it. Like right now, I've never gone live on Instagram and YouTube. Believe me, I'm sitting here, I don't know what to look at. I'm trying to look at both screens. But what I noticed is, all right, let me just test it out. Let me see how it goes. And I make a decision after I test it out and see how it goes. A lot of times we need to just decide, see how it goes. So when it comes to prioritization, I want you to think of this one question when you struggle with prioritization. If I could only do one thing right now that would impact my success, my goals, what would that one thing do? What would that one thing be? Excuse me. That's it. That's how you prioritize. What is that one thing that if I do it right now, it's going to impact my success? It's going to help me progress to my goals. What's that one thing? After you have that one thing, get going on that. Don't think about it too long. Just do it. Just literally take action. If you're an overthinker, this is going to help you to overcome that. When I say overthink, I used to be a chronic overthinker. I used to just harp on things. I used to write pros and cons lists, and nothing against those, but I used to write pros and cons lists, overthink, like be super analytical with decisions. And then I realized like you grow faster when you just take action and fail and then do it again. Get back up. It's like when you learn to ride a bike. Get on the bike, fall, scratch your knees up, get back up, do it again. Keep going until you get better. That's how my approach to life is. So when you're trying to prioritize, I want you to move forward with things. Decide, this is what I'm doing on Monday. Boom, boom, boom. This is the time I'm doing it on Monday. Do it. Now, I know there are other issues that come up with that where people get distracted or they don't know even how to start with planning, or they give themselves too many priorities, etc. If any of those are your issues, then talk to me. That's literally the issues that I solve, right? So this is why I'm a coach. The next thing I want you to do, so far, I know some people just joined. So far, I've talked about you got to remember that you're always in control and you have to take those deep breaths and come back into your body and regulate your nervous system as soon as you feel that overwhelm. The second thing, you have to brain dump everything out, worries, to-dos, anything coming up, get it out of your head, so that you can reduce the overwhelm. And then make sure that you are making as many small decisions ahead of time as you can. And then I talked about included in those small decisions is make sure you're prioritizing what you need to get done. Like what is important for you to get done. Make sure you're taking the time out to prioritize that. The fifth thing that I want you to do when you're feeling overwhelmed, this is going to stop you from being overwhelmed. Improve your self-care, right? Think about this. I want you to think about this every single day. How am I filling up my cup today? Not filling up somebody else's cup, not serving for somebody else. And even though that is very important, but how am I filling up my cup today? What did I do for myself today? Even if it's 5 minutes of meditating, 5 minutes of reading, 5 minutes of a YouTube video or a YouTuber you really like that makes you laugh, a meme that you like, all right, y'all resonate with this. Okay, yes. So really think through like, how did I fill my cup up today? Did I get enough sleep? Did I spend time on hobbies? Did I take enough breaks? Am I making progress towards things that actually matter to me? Do I have my goals written down? Do I have a vision board that I look at every single day, right? Like I keep messages. You can see some of them, like I have some of my favorite quotes behind me, and I have my vision board up here, and my goals are written on my whiteboard right here. Like, let me see if you guys can see it. Like all of that is over there. These are things I'm looking at every single day. This is what keeps me focused and motivated. I'm not just disciplined and motivated every day because it's a habit. It has become somewhat of a habit, but a lot of it is trained behavior. I've set my environment up for success, right? So I really want you to think through how you can do that for yourself. How can you show up for yourself and really take care of yourself so that you don't feel that overwhelm anymore? So I know I gave you a lot of tips in this live. Let me know if you have questions. Please drop them in the chat right now. But when I had asked on my stories, I screenshotted it. I had asked, what causes your overwhelm regarding your to-do list? And a lot of people said a couple different things. So I'll share some of them and I'll share my 2 cents on this, especially for the people watching who submitted questions. Answers. Thanks for submitting answers to my question and my stories. So one person said only focusing on big goals and not the little in between things like straightening up their house, right? That kind of helps them. That makes them feel overwhelmed. If that's making you feel overwhelmed, my first thing is going to be, how can you automate some of these things you have to do that are little, that you quote unquote little, like little tasks around the house or cooking, cleaning, like I was mentioning. How can you automate it? You want to know one thing I do? I have a reoccurring meeting on my calendar. So I don't even have to think about it. Every single Sunday, I know I'm cleaning the bathrooms. I know I'm wiping down the kitchen stuff. I'm doing a deep clean. I mean, I do clean every day for a little bit. I do like a quick tidy up every day. I do a 15-minute tidy up every day. But I also have thought through when I'm actually going to clean, and I abide by it, right? Something as small as that. That way, during the week, I'm laser focused on my big, crazy, audacious goals that I have, right? That give me a sense of overwhelm in the sense that like I know my goals are great things I'm going after, because it does make me feel a little bit like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get there? Like I think that's a good sign. That's a good sign of overwhelm when it's towards your goals and you're like, how the heck am I going to get there? That's how you know you're really pushing yourself to get something done. But when it comes to like the nitty-gritty to-do list and the task to get to the goal, use these tactics that I mentioned in this live. There's no reason to feel overwhelmed with those, because there's just no reason. Like you're causing that overwhelm in your head. You don't need to feel overwhelmed by your to-do list. You just need to break it down into priorities. You need to get back into your right mindset and just go at things at the pace that makes sense for you. You don't need to run a fast race. And I think sometimes social media makes it feel like we need to. And I'm kind of accustomed to that. I'm on social media too. I see people talking about million this, $1 million that, da 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 da. Like everyone has different advice. Everyone has a glamorous life. Not everyone, but they make it seem like that online because that's the majority of what we share. But remember, you're not paying nobody's bills. You don't know the ins and outs of their lives and what's going on with them. So never compare yourself, and do not get stuck on thinking like, oh, then seek out help. This is what people like me, time management coach, can help you to achieve your goals faster and actually like get organized. These are all things you could do. Another thing somebody said that causes them overwhelm is a lack of time. So if you feel like you have a lack of time, Let me know. Drop some hearts. Let me know if you can relate to that. You feel like you have a lack of time and that's what's holding you back. So if you feel like you have a lack of time, I want you to know that that is a myth. That is a belief you have in your head. That is a limiting belief. If you don't know what limiting beliefs are, I actually posted about this the other day. Limiting beliefs are things that are holding us back. It is things we believe to be true that are not true. They are not facts, but we think they are. And we keep reinforcing, like I was saying, we're saying it to ourselves, so our subconscious is proving it true. We keep saying to ourselves, I don't have enough time. There's not enough time for me to do this. I'm not going to ever achieve this. Da, 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 da. We start to believe it. Our brain starts to show us ideas that this is true, but it's actually not. There is no lack of time. We all have 24 hours, right? Every single one of us has it. It comes down to what we do with that 24 hours. That's going to make the total difference. So stop telling yourself you don't have enough time. Start making the time. Start being intentional about planning out the time, and you'll never feel like you have a lack of time. If you are hearing this and you're like, I don't believe you, like I don't have enough time, I really have a crazy schedule, then I want you to get on a call with me. Get to the link in my bio and book a time audit, or DM me audit, and I will send you the link to book it. What I do in this time audit is I literally break down how much time you actually have in your day. And I can always find at least an hour to 4 hours that someone is wasting in their day. I promise you I'll find it. This is what I do. I always can do it. And if I feel your schedule is too crazy and you literally are not using it well, I will tell you. Like I was on a time audit. What's today? Thursday. I was on a time audit yesterday morning. And on this audit, I was telling the guy, I was like, you need to get a new job. Like I flat out broke down like why it would make sense for his goals, and how the 2 jobs that he was doing was impossible, and the amount of sleep he was getting was just gonna pretty much put him in a grave. And I had to be completely real. And he was so grateful for my help and was like, I need to work with you. Right? This is the type of stuff. And that was a free call. I will literally give you this type of advice on a free call. So only imagine when I'm your coach. Like I really care about my clients and I set them all up for success. And I have a lot of results on my page, on my website. If you ever head to thefireandsideshade.com/results to see and hear a lot of my client success stories. But all in all, I don't want you to ever feel like you don't have enough time. That's something personally that I dealt with. I felt like I didn't have enough time. I felt like before I became a coach, right? Like I just felt like there was all these limitations people would put on me, and they made it seem like I couldn't have a career and I couldn't chase my goals and I couldn't try new things, and it just like would never all be able to happen for me. And I found a way to make it happen. I found a way to get really good at managing my time and managing projects and managing my life. So it's completely possible for you. And that's why I'm so passionate about what I'm coaching, because I want every single person in this world to do things that light them up, that light a fire inside of them. And that's what my business is called, The Fire Inside. One other question I got on stories was someone saying that, they struggle to do tasks because they have little to no sleep. If you have little to no sleep, you already know the answer to that. You got to get more sleep. Sleep is so vital. It's literally when our body repairs itself. Like if we're not sleeping enough, we're going to be drowsy. We're not going to be able to get tasks done. I talk about this all the time. If we're falling asleep, if we're exhausted, it's going to take us like double or triple the time to do something. I know for me, if I'm tired and I'm trying to like write an email, I'm messing up. It's taking me like 2-3 hours when it's something I could usually do in 30 minutes at the top of the morning when I'm like high peak energy. So if you're feeling like that and you are having a lack of sleep, please prioritize a really good sleep schedule. You really want to make sure you're waking up and going to sleep around the same time, even on the weekends. I know it's annoying, but if you're going to sleep around the same time every single day, you're going to see the best results. And on the weekends or other days, you don't want to vary more than like an hour or two. So if you go to sleep at 11, you don't want to ever go to sleep later than like 12 or 1. If you wake up at 7, you don't want to wake up any later than like 8 or 9 or like 5 or 6, right? You want to be within that window. So prioritize your sleep. And if you feel like you have sleep issues, because lately I've been talking to a lot of clients who are talking about they have like sleep apnea, and I've actually helped a couple people through that. That's a whole medical thing, right? So seek help for that too if you're feeling like that's causing you to not get sleep. But with that question, it's kind of like I would need more details, right? That would be a very specific to the person type of answer. But that was all I had for my live. I feel like I gave a lot away. So I'm going to recap because I love a recap. So I tend to recap a lot on my lives. But how you're going to stop being overwhelmed by your to-do list. Quick recap. The first thing you are going to do is figure out where this overwhelm is coming from, right? And remember that you are always in control. I want you to, when that overwhelm comes about, I want you to pause, literally stop, take a deep breath, concentrate on the breath, and get into your body and out of your head. First thing. Next thing, you're going to brain dump. List out every single thing that you have going on, what's overwhelming you, get it all out on a sheet of paper, all the things you need to get done, get it out of your head, because if it's out of your head, then you can see it all laid out and you can actually take action on it. Then I want you to make sure you're making as many small decisions as you can ahead of time so that you don't even think about those things on the day of. And those are not the things stressing you out because your basic necessities are already planned out and thought of. Then I want you to narrow down those priorities, really get clear on what's the most important thing you need to be doing right in that moment. Just ask yourself, what's the one thing I need to do in this moment? And then do it. Don't overthink it. Don't question yourself. Just do it. And then move on to the next. Like literally stop multitasking, take things one at a time. And then the last thing I shared was I want you to improve your self-care. Make sure that you're filling up your cup, getting adequate sleep, spending time with family and friends, doing things you enjoy, taking breaks, not just overly working all the time, because that is the quickest way to burn out. I know when you're a high achiever, I face this all the time where I just want to work on my goals all the time. Even in my free time, I just want to work on my goals. So I think I love it so much. I really do love it so much. But I have to remind myself, like, you need to have fun. And like on my calendar, I literally write like have fun or like wind down. These are things that I remind myself. So it's completely normal to be doing that. So yeah, that was all the things that I listed. One thing I want you guys to know is next week I'm going live with Dr. Lisette. She is a holistic coach. She's a functional medicine specialist, and we're going to be talking about stress management and time management. We're doing a collab with each other. So definitely tune in next week at 7. Excited about that live. I'm also doing a Black Friday deal, which I don't think I've ever done before in my business, but it came to me in a meditation. And I just felt like God maybe wanted me to bring this to y'all. So if you want to learn more about that deal, you have to be on my email list. I'm not sharing that deal anywhere else, but on my email list to Fire Insiders. Like I treat my Fire Insiders real good. If you're not on the email list, you will not learn about the deal because this deal is absolutely insane and it's really valuable and at an amazing price. And I'm selling it before Black Friday. I'm actually announcing it tomorrow. So get on my email list. You can get on my email list through the link in my bio. Get on that ASAP if you want to know about this deal. It's probably the lowest cost you'll ever get to get coaching with me, like ever. Like I probably will never do this again. I'm not even joking. Like get on the email list if you're interested in that. And then also I'm currently enrolling for my Overwhelmed to Organize coaching program. So this is an amazing, amazing coaching program. I'm not just saying it because it's mine, but also why not hype up yourself? It will holistically transform your time management in order to achieve your work and personal goals. So if you're interested in that, you're a high achieving person, you are multi-passionate, you want to achieve more goals in less time without feeling stressed, without sacrificing self-care, you want to learn how to implement the tactics that I talk about all over my free content into your life personally and get held accountable by me, then this is something you may be interested in. And if you want to learn more about that, you can just DM me the word time and we can talk about how you can actually apply for this program and see if it's a good fit for you. So that was all I had. Any questions, guys? Let me check the chat. Let me look on it. YouTube. Hi, YouTube. I know I have people on here, but I don't see anything in that chat. Let me see. Instagram. Hey. Oh, mad people joined while I was just chatting. Okay. Hi, everyone who joins. How are you doing? I'm doing well on this Thursday. I'm excited. I have like a really fun retreat tomorrow, a business retreat that I'm excited about. Okay. I'm looking through. All right, I don't see any questions. So I'll stay on for like another minute. Okay. Some things you learn can keep you poor. Embrace the concept of learning, relearning, and unlearning. Yeah, I completely agree. Duplicity. I like that. That's a cool name. Yeah, I completely agree. a lot of us just want to learn, and some of us need to unlearn, right? Like we need to unlearn some things that are holding us back so that we can actually relearn or learn the things that are going to help us. But not just learn, because you don't really learn anything until you apply it and you implement it. I think a lot of us get stuck in the knowledge culture because of how much content we have access to, and we don't actually like take any action on that content. So yeah, yes, exactly. So that is what we got to do. But I don't see any questions. So I think I'm going to head off. If you are just tuning in to this live, I talked about how to stop being overwhelmed by your to do list. And I gave plenty of strategies you can practically start doing right now on your own. I also shared that if you want to learn more about my Black Friday deal, go ahead and join my email list. It's in the link in my bio. Become a Fire Insider, and you can learn more about that and more about my programs and what's going on with me and things that are coming up. And the replay will be on Instagram, and it also will be on YouTube because it's my first time I went live on both. And yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you next week. We're going to be talking about stress management and time management. I'm going to be joined by Dr. Lisette, who's a holistic coach, and she is a certified like functional medicine specialist. So it's going to be really good. Really excited about like pairing up my like simple and practical tips with like her technical knowledge and like the knowledge on the medical side, which is always like one and the same. Like I feel like time management and wellness just go together so well. So I'll see you guys next week, and thank you for tuning in. Have a good night. All right. Bye, YouTube.